We already know all the results that happened in Group A in the Toulon tournament. El Tri finished atop the group ahead of England, and the only difference being that El Tri scored 7 goals and England scored 6. Now, with all the results in mind, with all the performances that happened in the first 3 games against Qatar, England, and China, we want to analyze a little bit of what happened in the group stage and what's going to happen in the semifinal, where El Tri aspires to win another Toulon tournament. So right now, here we go. Muy buenas. A result today, Mexico beat China 3-1. I think it was an important match in the sense that El Tri conceded first, and I think they put them in a big test there to see how the team reacted. I think it's important to note that it came out of a mistake. Cervantes wanted to take the ball out, send it back to the defense. There was a bit of miscommunication there in China. That was discipline. There was good defensive discipline and offensive discipline from China, especially in the first 30 minutes of the game. And that put Mexico in trouble. Mexico, it took them exactly 44 seconds to develop a scoring opportunity, an opportunity that Lainez kind of couldn't, finish off. And I think it would have been a worthwhile goal, to add the second goal in the tournament for Lainez, especially now that there's a lot of talk about him and about a possible move. It's pretty noticeable that the press that is present in the tournament has developed a great interest in him, especially the French press. That it's been long since a Mexican footballer has generated so much expectation in France. I mean, you can say that the last one was Ochoa when he was in Ajaccio, but if you have to go a little bit back and sort of think about the time when Rafa arrived to Monaco, I think that was kind of a new moment for the Mexican footballer. Well, now Lainez, many years later, is developing that interest. But seven goals scored in the group stage, 2 conceded. You can say that both goals that El Tri conceded in this tournament came off, misadjustments or not being so alert defensively, especially the goal today against China. The team really didn't have that intensity taking the ball out from the back, and China made them pay. But El Tri came back with goals by Roberto Alvarado, Lalo Aguirre. Then Lalo Aguirre converted a penalty in the second half that gave El Tri a 3-1 win. Overall, I would say that the result today is a positive sign moving to the semifinal. I think, as I said, conceding first put El Tri in a big test that made Chima Ruiz made a tactical adjustments on the field, specifically, for example, moving Diego Lainez a little bit more from the wing to the center, and that kind of provoked a lot of problems. I think Uriel Antuna didn't have the best of performances today with his crossing and with his decision making. I think he was a bit off, and I think had Antuna been a bit sharper in that final third, El Tri could have gotten a better, a more comfortable victory. Of course, the 3-1 looks like a comfortable victory, but there was a lot of options for them to score in the game. A real quick story about Lalo Aguirre. In the 2018 Clausura, he played for Tampico Madero and Ascenso MX. You can kind of say he's been a revelation in this tournament. 4 goals, has him as one of the top goal scorers in the tournament. He might end the tournament as a top goal scorer. 7 starts with Tampico Madero, 3 goals in the 2018 Clausura. It's an interesting case, to be honest, especially nowadays when you think about this generation specifically. You have a player like Ronaldo Cisneros who could be in this list, but he's not. Joao Malek, like we mentioned in the other analysis, he could also be in this list. And of course, you also have Godínez and Macías, who are other great, talented forward players that can give stuff up forward. Same can be said about Alvarado, who's a starter, the number 10 of the team. And the age range is also good. Lalo Aguirre is barely going to turn 20. Roberto Alvarado is barely going to turn 20 as well. And as we can see with Alvarado, it's a similar story. It's a pretty advanced story. We're talking about a player that played for Celaya and Ascenso MX, then went to Pachuca, didn't turn out so well. And now we saw him several seasons with Necaxa, this last one being the most dominant one from his part. 15 starts this season, 1,364 minutes. I think that's good. for Alvarado, 4 assists in the Clausura that just finished. And when we see a recent season that he had, the one he had in 2016 Apertura with Celaya, 1,034 minutes, 6 goals in second division there with Alvarado. So Aguirre and Alvarado, I think, has been an interesting tandem that has evolved with the tournament. I think when they started in the first game against Qatar, there were some things to correct. Then it sort of improved a little bit against England. I think the only thing that was missed against England was the finishing. And against China, I think we saw a better understanding. I think when the players actually moved to the center, specifically Lainez, he created a lot of options with Alvarado. There was a lot of plays between both of them, and I think that allowed them to get the victory. Maybe that was kind of the game changer in the whole match, is moving Lainez from being so tight to the wing to also to move to the center. And I think that's where we see some type of comfort that hopefully we can see more in the next couple of days, especially in the semifinal, against whoever the opponent will be. We still have to see how that finishes. But the general outlook of things, it's been a positive tournament. I haven't been so impressed by a youth national team in quite some while, especially I think the last poor tournament was probably the U17, where you saw that Lainez was playing lights out and the rest of the teammates were a little bit behind. The U20 performance in the last World Cup, I mean, they finished in the quarterfinals, lost to the champion, which was England. Overall, I think that you can consider it a good tournament. In that tournament, of course, Edson Alvarez was a standout, and Edson Alvarez is on the brink of reaching a World Cup. So this U21 generation, I think it's on the right path, and what we saw today against China, responding to the pressures and to have to a certain extent the backs on their walls and try to come back as quickly as possible. I think that showed some type of resilience from the team. Real quick about the defense, the defense today was Cesar Montes, Carlos Vargas, Gerardo Arteaga, and Gobea from Atlas. Ismael Gobea, if I'm not mistaken, that's a complete name. And I was making checking at the numbers, checking at the minutes, checking at the first team experience they have, first division experience they have. Cesar Montes is 21, and he has already played 7,962 minutes in first division. This is including Liga MX and Copa MX games. Vargas is 19, and he already played 2,650 minutes in first division. Arteaga, 3,065 minutes. He's almost turning 20 in a couple of weeks or so. Gobea is the one that has played less, the right back, 630 minutes, and he's 21. But I think Gobea, what he has shown as a right back is interesting, just like Jorge Sanchez. Jorge Sanchez from Santos. Jorge can play you as a right back, but he can also play you a little bit as a center back as well. And I think Gobea also has that skill of moving from right back to center back. But it is eye-opening, these numbers, especially Montes and Vargas. They feel calm in the pitch. They know what they're doing. Vargas, I think, is proving in this tournament that his position is as center back, not so much as left marker, left back, like Piojo Herrera likes to use him with the club. And I think that is something to sort of observe in the next months or so with America. Will Piojo Herrera put him as a center back as opposed to as a left back, where there was some clear struggle from his part several times in the season. But when Montes, the experience he has is already kind of he already reached that point where he already had enough time in Liga MX. I think it's a perfect time for him to move to a club like to a European club, and that could be possible after this tournament if everything kind of comes together. But we'll see. But those minutes stood out really, and I think it's a development that makes this U21 team special. It's this first division experience, as to what's going on in the next years with the national team. And real quick, I received questions on Twitter from Rudy Morales, asking what other players do I see in Europe. For example, I think Jonathan Gonzalez is one of them. I do feel that some of the fullbacks from Santos could potentially get attention. I said Montes. I think Cervantes is a midfielder that also deserves a shot in Europe. Probably good vision. He might have had the error today, but I think overall he is one of the main talents in this national team, especially at the U21 level. Lalo Aguirre is also that could generate attention, and of course, the main one is Lainez, and the price tags and the rumors there that $25 million or euros. That's kind of the price tag that America will potentially put on him, and that's when the conversations will start. It's a rumor out there. I feel that 15 between 15 and 20 is a price range for Lainez to leave, but he just generates so much attention, especially in a day like today, where he clearly was a difference maker and was the best player on the whole field and on the whole game. That makes you think if possibly 25 million will be his price tag. But it's all a beginning, and we'll see exactly where this ends. The price tags, for example, the best rumored price tags from a Mexican football leaving Liga MX is Hector Herrera's and Chucky Lozano's. I do feel that Lainez could potentially beat that, but I'm not still so clear as to how true those rumors are in France and what other clubs might be interested. I mean, there's from Spain coming reports from Spain from that Villarreal might be interested, and I think Villarreal actually has been following him since the U17 World Cup. So all of these little details, but it seems that Lainez is so close to going to Europe, and if he has the opportunity to leave at this age, I think would be brilliant. Seems really mature and really capable of making an impact right away over there in Europe. It might not be so quick, but I think he has the potential. But all these questions are great. On Twitter, we'll try to answer them as much as possible when they come over, and try to answer them on video and expose all the arguments or whatnot that we might have. But thank you for watching. We'll keep doing these part of the Resortera Wave sort of project that I've been thinking about. On YouTube we're doing the analysis, and hopefully soon we'll start the podcast in Spanish, and that's something really exciting coming up, especially now that the World Cup is literally 2 weeks away from starting. And tomorrow El Tri plays against Scotland over there in Mexico City, and it's time to say goodbye. And of course, I can't end this sort of little analysis video and saying Feliz cumpleaños to Chicharito Hernandez, 30 years old. I mean, what a historic life he's had. I think the best to him, and hopefully he can get one or two, or who knows, even 30 goals over there in the World Cup. So that is my report for today, and thanks for watching. Ciao, ciao.